Niftylift HR21 here. So the problem with this one is that it's popping up the fuses in the basket. So I'll try to see what is it doing and why is it happening. At the moment there's no error codes or fault codes on it. If I switch the machine, switch to the basket, switch to the base, press a green button, the motor is running, switch to the basket, seems to be alright. So I'll try to see what's happening there and then see what's the problem. That's a basket. You see amount of fuse has been replaced here. So machine was going off the side, and to take it off the side, that's how many fuse they needed. So the console is already unbolted, so let's have a look inside here and I will show you which fuse is actually blowing. So I think this is the one, CESR. That's the one that keeps blowing, the middle one. Just looked on a drawing, so what actually that fuse is feeding is, over that relay is feeding the drive joystick. Okay, so I have a drive joystick and it's feeding all the inputs to the switches, all of them here, and not much more. And actually, yeah, it's actually feeding the foot switch as well. So don't know what we have to do. Possibly try to get this to fail, to get that fuse blown, and then maybe see what can we find. A kind of suspecting issue with the wiring somewhere, maybe damaged wire or something. The guy said it's normally when the operating boom functions, that's where it triggers or that's where it blows the fuse. And I think the very important bit of information is that when it blows the fuse, then you can put a new one in and it blows it straight away. So maybe actually I should start with the wiring and check the loom for damages and things like this. So just looking on the wiring here, so that's wiring to the switch, foot pedal, and in this area it seems like something has happened here. See, the wire has been squashed and they kind of misplaced. So I wonder if there is any sort of damage in these looms, because it's definitely something has happened here, as you can see. You see the shape of the wires changed. As well, here you see the USB socket that is being knocked off. I wonder if something to do with that. So far I can't get this to fail, so I need to keep testing it, but it must be something, because they're gonna look through how many fuses. So definitely must be something not right here. So all this wire. So I will continue with the wiring checks, and I will possibly update on the finds or findings. So far no luck. So what I decided to try is to keep this negative on. I just joined this together, the red, and I'll put in the measuring resistance in megohms. So I disconnected the other end of the cable. So behind this base valve block there is a connector, you just can see it there. It's right there. So I disconnect that connector, and that's a cable that comes from the basket. So I'm going around and moving the wires that's around all these bands and just trying to see if that makes any difference by measuring and keeping eye on the resistance. So what I have found here is if I move this wire here, look, see that's gone down. So actually what I did, I pushed this area forward and it's gone down. So now it's in the range, in the manual range. Let me change to the auto range, if I can do that. No, that's good enough. So if I push this forward now, it goes really low. It seems like it's shorting out somewhere there. So I think maybe it's that edge, or maybe it's in that area is damage on the cable. So I'll try to get the multimeter in continuity mode and see if it's gonna beep. So look, now I got this into continuity mode and obviously it's got lost the signal. Let's see if I can get this to pick up the signal. There we go. Alright, let me put this here. Hopefully you can see it's now showing open loop. Oh, I need to get the multimeter a bit closer. I think it just keeps losing the signal. Oh look, here we go. I'm pushing it forward. It's showing short circuit. 1 ohm. So it's definitely something to do in this area here. So let's explore more what's happened there. So that's a gray cable that comes from the cage and goes over the trunking. So I think I'm gonna have to cut this cable ties to be able to pull it out a bit, and I'm suspecting it's gonna have some damage on it. All right, so I cut the cable tie off here, pull the cable back a bit. I can see some sort of damage on it already. So yeah, and I think that's what's caused the short. You cut it on the edge. So let's see what we can do. I mean, that's where the problem is. Let's see if I can spin it around. Yeah, I can't really get to that cable, but definitely damages here. So I think ideally I would like to replace that cable because it's the signals from the cage, and don't want to try to repair it and get some troubles later on. This is not easy access to these cables. Let's see what we can do. So yeah, I decided not to fix that because it's in the area where I can't get to it, and it's going to be sitting on the corner. So I think we're going to have to replace the cable and then position the cable securely so it's not going to happen again. But if you would have some sort of problems like this, so just make sure to check around the edges, and as the things like this can happen. So that's it for today.